And let me go ahead and mute everybody. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday night Zoom. My name is Dr. Stacy Holweger. I am excited you guys are here and excited to share some information with you about this technology, LifeWave, the stem cell activation patch, and some of the other patches that we have as well too. And of course, I am excited to get your questions answered. I know we all have questions. We want to understand this technology and how this works and what it does and what it can do for you specifically. So I'm going to just start off by sharing a little bit about the patch and what it is and how it works and how I came to find it and how you are hearing about it as well too, right? Through the inventor of this technology. His name is David Schmidt. And so this is what our patch looks like. It is a non-transdermal patch. Non-transdermal means nothing is transferring into the body. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with transdermal patches, pain patches, nicotine patches, birth control patches. Those are all things that are transferring substances or chemicals into the body. And so non-transdermal is what we're talking about. That means nothing is transferred in. So then how is this working? How does this technology work? Well, this technology works with what's called photobiomodulation or phototherapy, okay? So this is a wearable light technology, and that may be something new to you. You may not even know what that means, and so we're going to explain that tonight so that you do understand, so that you can see how this science and technology can work for you as well too. So this patch, sticky on one side, when you apply this to the body, you're actually going to put it on CV7, that bumpy vertebrae on the back of your neck. Yep. Here we go. We've got Kathy feeling it. Thank you, Kathy. She's participating there. Or you're going to put it below your belly button. You don't need to show me your belly button, but you can put it below your belly button as well. Either one. You put it on in the morning when you get up. Now it's nighttime right now, so we're not going to put that on, right? But in the morning when you get up, you're going to put on the X39 stem cell activation patch. You're going to do that, and you're going to leave that patch on for 12 hours. Because what happens during that 12 hours, this patch is activating, elevating, and mobilizing your body's own stem cells. Now you're probably thinking, why? Why do I want to activate, elevate, and mobilize my stem cells? And how does that work? Okay, so how it works is this patch, if you look at the white part, embedded in that is a crystal lattice structure that's made up of organic amino acids and sugars, oxygen, water, salts. So David Schmidt, the inventor of our technology, has figured out a way to help the body to increase its own stem cell production with this wearable light technology. Now, we know that you make an abundance of stem cells when you're young, right? That's why 5-year-olds don't have back pain and 10-year-olds don't have gray hair and 15-year-olds don't have heart disease, because they have boundless amounts of stem cells in their body that are always working to keep them young and youthful, right? Stem cells are pluripotent, means they can turn into any cell, tissue, or organ that the body needs for regeneration. That's why when Johnny's riding his bike and he falls off and he breaks his wrist, he gets up and he keeps on going, right? But we know that as we age, we make less and less stem cells. So when grandma falls out of bed and breaks her hip, she's not getting back up again because her body just doesn't have the stem cells on board, right? It just doesn't. That's part of life. So we know we have an abundance when we're young. By the time we're in our 30s, we're making half the stem cells we did when we were a kid. And by the time we're in our 60s, how many of you guys in here are in your 60s right now? By the time in your 60s, almost your 60s, you're making less than 10% of the stem cells you did when you were younger. Less than 10% stem cells left in your body by the time in your 60s. So this patch, when you apply this in the morning, you're going to leave it on 12 hours. It's going to activate, elevate, and mobilize your body's stem cells. Those stem cells are going to go to work to repair, regenerate, rejuvenate, restore all your cells and tissues and organs in your body in whatever order your body needs. I want you guys to think about when you cut your finger or when you break a bone. It's not the Band-Aid or the cast that's fixing the finger or the bone, is it? It's your body. Your body has its own innate ability to know how to heal and repair itself. It does that on its own. But we also know that we get out of balance, right? We know that we get out of balance from diet, lifestyle, stress, injury, illness, accidents, and surgeries. Things like that throw the body out of balance. And so this technology helps to assist the body to get back into balance, saying, hey, let's go. Let's do what we used to do. Let's make an abundance of stem cells so they can go to work to repair and regenerate everything in a very non-invasive way. How many of you guys are familiar with traditional stem cell technologies? Stem cell injections, maybe hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy, right? Been there, done that. I've done all of those. For 10 years, I did that with my daughter. And so some of those things can be pretty invasive. They can be a little painful. They can be extremely time consuming. And we're not even going to mention the cost. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Stem cells are extremely expensive and they can be very controversial as well too. So you have to be very careful with that. We're not going to go into all that, but this is your body, your own stem cells. This technology helps you to make more of your own. It wakes up your stem cells. It mobilizes them. It activates and elevates them. This technology actually resets a third of your genome to their young, youthful state. How many of you guys want genes that are young and youthful? I know I do, right? And you know each gene expresses to 1 or 2 or 3 other genes. And so that compound effect of using this technology day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. I interviewed Bob Campbell last Thursday, 26 months on this technology. He is 72 years old. He's crossed everything off his grocery list of problems, from 40 years of a mailman to extreme pain, knee pain, legs, feet, so bad it was excruciating. Nothing could touch it, right? Had to use a pill to urinate for prostate issues for what, almost 20 years? Skin cancer all over his arms, had to have these spots burned off, white scabs burned off every year. 26 months later, everything's checked off his list, nothing left on his grocery list. How does that happen? From using this technology day after day, week after week, month after month. Non-invasive, no side effects, no contraindications to anything you're currently taking or doing or using. Although I will share with you, obviously I'm not your doctor, so please consult with your physician. I'm not here to diagnose anything or to treat, say we're going to treat or cure. I just did a Zoom with several people just a little bit ago, and there was a man sharing that he had been on 3 blood pressure medications for 20 years. 20 years. Within just a few weeks of using this, his wife's a nurse. So again, talk to your physician about what you're doing, right? His wife's a nurse, and he said, I'm feeling dizzy. And she's like, well, drink more water. He's using the patch, you know, still day after day. And a few days go by and he's like, I'm still dizzy. And she said, well, let's just check your blood pressure. And sure enough, his blood pressure was lower than it had been, right? Pretty low. And she's like, well, let's just not use your evening dose. Again, she's a nurse. They're married. She made a decision for his health. And so sure enough, the blood pressure normalizes and he's like, oh, this is great, right? And he's checking things off his list. He'd been in a motorcycle accident 4 years ago. Long story, I'm going to interview him Thursday. You've got to get on the Patching podcast Thursday night. But fantastic story, just fantastic. And so sure enough, a couple weeks go by and he could tell he was getting dizzy again. So she tests his blood pressure and it's down again. And then come off another blood pressure medication. She said his blood pressure is better now than it was 20 years ago before he started taking medication. Now, how does that happen? Well, guess what, you guys? We have over 90 clinical studies with this technology. So the things I'm sharing with you is not just, you know, random, let's just make this stuff up and we are hoping it's really working. We have over 90 clinical studies, double-blind placebo, independent labs and researchers all over the globe have been testing this technology. And we find, one of my favorite studies that David does, we find with the heart, with the vascular system, the entire vascular system, that every 6 weeks using this technology literally repairs and restores the functionality of the entire vascular system as if it were 8 weeks younger. Now, that compound effect over time is what we saw happen with Dr. Sanders when I interviewed him last year. 45-year-old man had a heart attack. His heart was functioning as a 75-year-old. Pharmacist, been on every medication under the sun. Nothing repaired his heart. Met a woman. The woman introduced him to everything holistic. He got off all the medicines, did everything holistic. Still, I met him at this Zoom. He was 65 years old. Heart had still been functioning as a 75-year-old for almost 20 years. He started using this patch 1 year later. His heart's functioning in the mid-30s, 36 years old. Now he's got scans, he's got tests, he's a doctor, he's measuring himself on these different tests to measure his functionality, his age of his heart and how it's performing. You can see that in the heart, right? You can look at ejection fraction, you can look at the way the blood flows in and out of the vessels and stuff. And so his heart after 1 year was functioning as a 36-year-old. And for 20 years, it had been functioning as a 75-year-old. How does that happen? That's called regeneration. And so when we talk about repairing the body, repairing the cells and tissues and organs, increasing your stem cell production is what is repairing and regenerating. Your body is repairing and regenerating itself. Those stem cells, yours, are going to work to help every single cell, tissue, organ, system in your entire body. But I want to share this with you. This is not a stem cell injection. So when Laura told me she had shoulder pain, this is not taking stem cells and injecting them into her shoulder, right? Your body knows how to repair itself. Like I said, it knows what it needs. And so you don't get to pick the order in which things are repaired. You may be like, my back pain's out of control. Well, we're going to use a couple patches to help you with that, right? In the meantime, we can use Eon that reduces inflammation. We know inflammation causes pain. We can use LifeWave. LifeWave gets rid of pain on the spot. That's what it's designed to do, is to eliminate pain. So while your body is repairing, restoring, regenerating, rejuvenating day after day, week after week, month after month, we can definitely get rid of the pain on the spot using the LifeWave. So that is the beautiful thing about this company, about David and this technology. He started working with the Navy SEALs 20 years ago. This patch is not new. So 20 years ago, he started working with the SEALs. He invented what's called the energy enhancer. Now, this patch was used for the SEALs to increase their sustainability, endurance, stamina, and energy in the field. Things were going fantastic. And then 9/11 happened. And of course, the country took a very different turn to protect our country, right? To produce more arms and to make sure things were safe. And so the SEALs no longer needed to do the mission they were on. And David decided this could really help a lot of people. And I have some ideas for some other patches. I think I'm going to start my own company. And that's when he started LifeWave 20 years ago. So over the last 20 years, David has invented a dozen different patches. Things to help, again, bring the body into balance, to improve the functionality of the different cells and organs and tissues in the body as best as he could, like Eon that reduces inflammation, or glutathione that is the master antioxidant, right? Or Silent Nights that increases melatonin for sleeping. But it took him 10 years in the lab, 10 years of nonstop research to figure out how to signal the body to increase its own stem cell production, to reset a third of the genome, to increase its own collagen production, right? And it does that all through the pathway of GHK-Cu copper peptide, increasing that beautiful peptide for longevity and vitality in youth, right? And so know that this is not new. It may be new to you. It was new to me last year. It was almost a year and a half now that I found this technology last year. And it was not a coincidence. It was definitely a divine appointment, a divine alignment in me knowing about this technology at this point in time in my life, for my family, and for what we were looking for. And so this is maybe new to you, but know that it's backed by science. Laura's going to put a link in the chat. It's startx39now.com. And so that website houses all of our clinical studies, all the research, the data, the patents. David himself holds over 130 patents, almost 100 of those in the area of regenerative medicine. He's an inventor, he's a scientist, he's a researcher. He loves the laboratory, and that's where he likes to hang out. but know that he has a heart of gold. He is here as a humanitarian to be able to help improve the quality of people's lives. And this is a technology that he has invented to be able to help people do that. And we know that people know people, like people, trust people, love people, right? And so this platform of word of mouth, us sharing with other people, our personal experiences or testimonials, or those of other people, right? Other people's, like I was just saying, the man earlier that was in the motorcycle accident, but yet had been on blood pressure medicine for 20 years. Or I've got Jerry on here that, you know, I've interviewed Jerry before with CLL, right? And being on medication for that and being able to reduce the amount of medication and spread out the amount of time that he has to see his doctor. And, you know, I'm looking at Holly on here, who came on with this model hair growing. Every week I see you and your hair is bigger and fuller and longer and thicker. And she had female pattern baldness for what, 20 years? 20 years. There was no hardly hair up here at all. And now she's got this full, thick head of hair, right?
26 years.
26 years. 26 years, and now she has more hair than she knows what to do with. She's flipping it around everywhere. I love it, right? And then Laura, who's had a hip replacement, just a couple weeks last year after we found this technology. Laura was the first person I told about it. I immediately messaged her and said, you've got to get down here. She had treated herself, cured herself 4 years ago from stage 3 breast cancer using vitamin therapy, IV nutrition, detoxification, and supplementation. I said, you've got to get down here and hear about this. This is something you definitely want to know about for longevity and vitality. You know, and after she had her hip replacement, I was talking to somebody this morning about that. She said, how soon can I patch? And I said, I instructed Laura's husband, Tommy, as soon as she got out of the recovery room, to get in there and put those patches next to her incision site as close as he could, X39 And so she was being patched immediately after that surgery. And we were sitting there at the beach yesterday, and she's got her leg crossed over and, you know, doing like the, what do you call it, pigeon, you know, with your leg up on your knee and stuff. And the mobility is just huge. And, you know, I mean, she's, you know, just a little over a year out, but back in the gym, you know, doing everything she did before, and just like she never missed a beat. And not to mention the fact that Laura will be 60 in November, and her biomarkers show she's 40 from using this technology. 1 year, at the 1 year mark, she had her biomarkers done, and they showed she was 20 years younger than her biological age. I don't know about you guys, but longevity, vitality, prevention. And so no matter what's going on with you, no matter what your age, if you're 2 or 102, no matter how long your grocery list is, and I know you guys have questions about specific problems that you're dealing with or symptoms that you have. Remember, again, I'm not going to talk about specific diseases or disorders, because we're not here to treat or cure anything, but I will be able to share with you how the patch can work to help your body, and maybe even how some of using the other patches could work synergistically with getting your body back into balance as well too. Just like some of these people that you've heard tonight. And of course, you can definitely, you know, hear of many, many more. We have a fantastic Telegram channel where we have over 3,000 recorded testimonials. So somebody asked, what test do you do to see changes in the body? So what test Laura and I did was called a biomarker test. And so you can test every system in the body. Just like you can do an EKG on the heart or an EEG on the brain, you can test every system in the body through different biomarkers through the blood. And so when I had mine done at 6 months, it showed that I was 30, and I'll be 48 in a couple of weeks. So you can talk to your doctor, your practitioner. I don't know about MDs. Laura and I both go to a naturopathic doctor. So you can definitely talk to a person that you would, you know, get your blood drawn through and see if that's something they have. It's like 7 pages of information. But you'll have to check with your physician. Yeah. So I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about specific things going on with you or someone you know, or about the patches, the technology, and how things work, just to make sure you have clarity. There is definitely nothing to do with the color of skin in a response. So this works with our body's heat and the low level infrared light that we emit. We emit that, right? When we go outside at night, you can't see the person across the street or the animal or whatever down the road, or the bobcat that I have in my woods right now. You can only see them through the night vision goggles because you see the heat or the light being emitted from their body in colors. And that has nothing to do with the color of your skin. Good question though. And some people ask me also, what if my energy level is low or my frequency is low? Again, it's working with this 98.6, this low level infrared light that we all emit. So it doesn't matter if you're a low vibe or low energy person. So that's something else people ask. So yes, definitely start putting them on tomorrow. So you can either do it before or after workout. It's totally up to you. Some people like myself, I work out early in the morning, I sit in the sauna, I shower, I throw my patches on, I go about my day. But it depends on what time you get up. You only want to leave them on 12 hours. So if you're not hitting the gym till 10 o'clock, you don't want to wait till afterwards to put your patches on. You don't want to leave them on that late at night, right? You're going to be going to bed. So you can definitely work out of them. Remember, they were created for the Navy SEALs. After the Navy SEALs, then David got a hold of the Stanford swim team and worked very closely with the coaches there and the swimmers. And then of course has worked with the USA Olympic swim team for the last 20 years as well too. As far as your eyes go, as far as vision goes, I don't think Gary's on here right now and Barb, but we do have a lot of people that have been using them for a year or more, and they go back or even less time, go to their eye doctor, and their doctor reduces their prescription. And so that doesn't happen, especially as you age. As you age, your eyes get worse, right? You need a stronger prescription. And so we are seeing with people, my sister-in-law included, and myself, I was at a 2 something on my readers and now I'm at 1.25. So we're definitely seeing improvements in the eyes and vision. Yes. Telegram channel is the Be Activating Stephanie. How long do you stay on the patch like X49 or Eon? So X39 and X49 is the most recent patch that David invented. It signals a daughter peptide to the X39. This signals GHK-Cu, this signals AHK-Cu. And so this patch was designed for building lean muscle mass, reducing body fat, improving bone density, and works fantastic with the heart, the brain, blocking EMFs, growing hair. I know I was talking this morning with Steve about, he's like, can I get my hair dark again? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. In the gym, pickleball 3.5 hours. These are your patches right here, definitely. So how long can you use this patch? As long as you want. There's no side effects. There's no contraindications. There's nothing harmful. There's nothing going in the body. It's just asking your body to do what it did when it was younger. That's it, right? That's what these patches do. Eon reduces inflammation. You can use that patch again as long as you want. It is totally up to you. There it is, Eon. This patch here. So we all have inflammation in our body, whether it's from lifestyle or injury or stress or diet or surgeries, accidents, things like that cause inflammation in our body. And so being able to reduce inflammation on a daily basis is wonderful. There's nothing wrong with using this long term. This was actually the #1 selling patch for over 10 years because of the fact of reducing inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause of disease in the physical body until David came out with the X39 3 years ago. And so #1 and #2 are right here. You want to talk about a dynamic duo, reduce inflammation at the same time you're increasing stem cell production, you set the body up for a very rapid repair and regeneration process. Which patches do people notice a change in right away? That's fantastic. So of course, the ice wave is something that people notice right away. Let me grab it right here. This is ice wave. Ice wave is a patch David invented to eliminate pain on the spot. And so it works with the polarity of your body, opens up energy channels, and it will alleviate pain immediately. You apply this to the location of the pain. So if it's your knee, your right knee hurts, then you're going to put the white patch on your right knee, the tan patch on your left knee. People notice that right away. They're Nirvana. Nirvana is a patch that works with your mood. It is a mood balancer, mood enhancer, stabilizer patch. It increases beta endorphins, those feel-good feelings in our body, right? It works with the neural hormones and neurotransmitters in your brain. And so people notice a calm, relaxed, blissful state with our Nirvana. And most people notice that within about 15 to 20 minutes. The other thing is energy enhancer. Energy enhancer, like I said, turns body fat into fuel. This is the first one David invented. It's for energy, endurance, and stamina. This is not like drinking a nitro cold brew. This is for stamina and endurance throughout the day. So people notice they're not tired around that 3, 4, 5 o'clock time that they're normally exhausted. They just continue to have plenty of energy and go. And so those are the three that people notice initially, what we would definitely say you will notice right out of the gate. I will tell you that about 50% of the people do experience something from the X39. Joanne was one of the people, and Holly as well too. I put it on the back of their neck. They were Taylor's, some of her first therapists 15 years ago, my daughter. And when I put the patch on them, when I reconnected with them at a Bruce Lipton event back in May in West Palm, I put it on the back of their neck and they're like, what is going on here? What are we feeling? What is happening? They both came back out and Joanne's like, sign me up right now. I need the biggest pack of this you have. I don't know what this is, but I need it immediately. And Holly's just standing there and she goes, Holly, you're coming on next. Let's do this. And so Holly's an acupuncturist, of course. And so is Steph on here. And all of our clinical studies have been done on acupuncture points, right? Because David believes obviously in traditional Chinese medicine. We have acupuncture points, meridians in our body, and they specifically respond and communicate with different systems and organs in the body. So using these patches on points like CV7, right, back here on the back of the neck, where all these nerves come in, sometimes people do feel things right away. I personally did not. So don't think that you have to have this like epiphany on day one. Right? For me, it was 3 weeks. The clinical studies show 3 to 6 weeks is when the majority of people experience something pretty significant, whether it's a reduction in pain or improved quality of sleep, whether it's more mental clarity or energy or concentration or focus or recovery from fitness or exercise. For me, I noticed processing time in my brain, and I also noticed my workouts. I work out at Orange Theory. I was doing laps around people in the weight room, not to mention that I wasn't even efforting on the treadmill at all. And so that was around that 3 to 4 week mark for me, but we're all different. So keep in mind, you may not notice anything with X39 right away. We don't notice our hair growing or our fingernails growing, just like we don't feel our heart repairing or our liver repairing or kidneys repairing. Your body has its own ability to know how to repair itself. We're just going to help it do that by increasing its stem cells. You may or may not feel things. The average person, like I said, is about 3 to 6 weeks. Some people, it's 3 to 6 months before they start to feel things. So keep that in mind, okay? Your body is always repairing and regenerating when you're applying this patch. It's activating, increasing those stem cells every single day. So those are great questions. Let's see, I'm going to make sure. Can you put the Eon on the knee where in the X39 where he had a surgery? You can definitely put it directly on the spot if you want to. That is totally up to you. You do not have to apply these to the location. Remember, they're working systemically no matter where you apply them. It's totally up to you. But if you want to hit a spot like Laura with her hip, my son, whenever he sprained his ankle, I used these 2 patches and the carnosine, which is great for tissue repair, all over his ankle. And he's 17, so he has plenty of stem cells, right? His body goes to work to repair itself every single day. But I wanted to make sure I gave him an extra boost to reduce any inflammation and to help the tissue repair faster. And of course, increasing that stem cell production. So I did apply them all over his ankle. The doctor had said 2 weeks on crutches. And at that 2 week mark, he was back dunking again. So I know it definitely sped up his recovery time. Can someone develop tumors? So I would go to the X39, start X39 now, so you can look at the clinical studies. So we do not have any cases of anyone in our study developing tumors from using the patches. Actually, we can go to our Telegram channel. I remember specifically a lady that had lumps in her breast, had tumors. She had a reoccurrence of breast cancer, and it took her about 3 months, but she was applying the X39 directly all over those lumps that she had to reduce them. That was her personal testimonial, right? It's not a clinical study. Yep, the bump on the neck, that bumpy vertebrae, CV7, you can feel it. That bump, you can put it on there. But remember, you can stick it on your big toe. You can stick it in the center of your forehead. You can stick it on top of your hand. It is increasing your stem cell production no matter where you're applying it. So don't feel like if you don't have it on the bumpy vertebrae, it won't work. It doesn't work that way with that patch, right? There are some patches that you definitely want to get on that acupuncture point, okay? Because they're going to signal different systems in the body through different meridians. But you don't have to have the X39 or Eon directly on the spot in order for it to work. And the same thing we see with the ice wave. You know, if you put the ice wave on your knees and it doesn't eliminate the pain within minutes, then move it around. You haven't opened up the energy channel. That pain may be coming from somewhere else. So move it around a little bit. Yes, you can definitely use the patches if you have a plate in your ankle. Absolutely. Plates, screws, hips, knees, pacemakers, stents, you're perfectly fine to use this technology. The only thing is if you have a foreign organ in your body, so let's say you have a heart that is not yours, or a kidney, or a liver, or a lung that belongs to another human being that has passed away, and you are on serious immunosuppressant drugs, so your body does not reject that organ that is not yours. That is the only situation in which you would not want to use the X39. Now, believe it or not, I remember the lady, Laura, that I interviewed that had a kidney transplant, and she was on immunosuppressants, and she's like, oh my God, I cannot believe how amazing I feel using this X39. And we're like, David says not to use it if you're on immunosuppressants and have a foreign organ in your body. And she'd been on the patch for like 3 months, and she was doing fantastic. She had huge improvements. And I was like, okay, she's still alive. Oh my God, someone did not tell her. Okay. So we're like, we didn't say a word. Afterwards, everybody's like, oh my God, David. Well, the reason why David says this is because we don't have clinical studies. It's the same thing with pregnant women. We do not have clinical studies with pregnant women. So we can't say, yes, use it if you are pregnant or nursing, because we don't have clinical studies with that. And so he's always said, if you have an organ in your body that's not yours, I don't want to recommend that you use the stem cell activation patch because of, increasing stem cells could cause the body. We don't know, but it could cause the body to reject the organ. So just like with an unborn baby, we don't know. So we're not going to say it's something that's recommended. All right. So she's struggling with her mood. Okay. So that would be definitely looking at the Eon, the one that reduces inflammation, also is what we call our happy patch, right? And so it puts the body in that parasympathetic state. It's fantastic for anxiety and stress. If it's something more significant, then I would definitely look at the Nirvana. Nirvana is the patch that is our bliss patch. So that definitely works for depression, severe anxiety, social anxiety, stress, worry, things like that. So she had a concussion. Okay, so we're going to look at increasing her stem cell production, right? Reducing that inflammation. And yeah, you can definitely use the Nirvana, works with the neurohormones and neurotransmitters in the brain. I would also look at carnosine, honestly. Carnosine is a massive antioxidant. It loves the brain. It loves to hang out in the brain. It loves to repair the brain. It loves to balance the left brain, right brain hemisphere, improve cognition, communication, and processing time. And so this is our brain protocol. If someone's had issues with their brain, this is whether it's someone that has cognitive decline or different types of mental disabilities, then you would use X39, Eon, and carnosine for sure. And you can apply all three of them during the day. X39, back and neck, below belly button. Eon, same 2 locations. Carnosine, it can go in different locations. You can do back of the neck, or I like mine at the center of my chest, or you can do low back. I can't do hands. I wash my hands too much. But carnosine is a fantastic patch to use as well too for the brain. So again, we do not have any clinical studies on children. And so I can't say that you can use the patches on them because we don't have studies, but it's kind of like when you take your child through McDonald's, that's a personal choice that you make to feed your child that. So it would be a personal choice that you make to use this modality to be able to assist your child, right? And so obviously McDonald's is the opposite end of the spectrum if we're talking about health and vitality and repair in the body. But you understand what I'm saying? As a parent, you have a choice every single day to do whatever you want for your child. So there's no clinical studies on children. Do we have thousands of testimonials of mothers using this patch on their children? Yes, I put the patch on my 2 children before I put it on myself and my husband. So that's a personal choice. What do you recommend for someone who's had a concussion and 4 years later still has headaches, CT scans are normal? I would use those patches that I definitely recommended. Broken kneecap, can the X39 help? So X39 and Eon work to reduce inflammation, increase stem cell production, so they can work to go to repair, regenerate, rejuvenate all your cells and tissues and organs in your body. So it can definitely help anything, right? Same thing with strokes. Look at our brain protocol. If you want to add in, you can also add in the X49 for its benefits on the brain as well too, signaling that AHKCU does wonderful things for the brain as well. Same thing with the knee, increasing that bone density. The X49 does that in conjunction with the X39. As far as looking at Hashimoto's as a disease, I'm not going to definitely talk about that, but if I look at what that system is, that is the thyroid, right? We look at the thyroid in the body, the endocrine system, when we look at Hashimoto. So there's a patch called SP6 that is fantastic for balancing the endocrine system. We can see in clinical studies an improvement of 87% in the functionality of the endocrine system in 7 days. And so looking, of course, at diet and lifestyle and those choices, given that those are all in check, I'm assuming you can definitely use the X39, right? Let's bring everything into balance, but we can balance the endocrine system at the same time using the SP6 as well too. And again, every patch has its own acupuncture points that it's applied to. So SP6 is going to be applied to one of these 3 spleen points on the inner or on the left leg. And every patch comes with its own instruction booklet, so you can't mess it up. That's the beautiful thing about this. It's all right here for you. So focus and attention. Focus and intention would definitely be our X39. It would also be our Eon and our carnosine. Our brain protocol, because focus and attention are coming from your brain, right? And then also maybe look at what can I do to create some new habits to maybe shut out some things that are distracting me or too much noise, whether it's phone or TV or games or whatever, right? To be able to help to foster that attention and focus. But those are the 3 patches that work specifically with your brain if we're looking at our brain protocol. What other questions do you guys have? You got fantastic questions tonight. You can unmute yourself if you want also. If you don't want to type it, you can unmute yourself.
I have a broken kneecap. What would help with that?
Okay, so the broken kneecap, Terry, I don't know if you heard me or not, but you
I think I missed that. Sorry.
Okay, so the X39,
Okay.
the Eon that reduces inflammation.
Okay.
And you can also use the X49.
Okay.
It helps with the bones as well.
Okay.
Yep, so you can use all.
Would I put those patches directly on my kneecap?
So with the X39 and Eon, as I mentioned, you can apply them directly to the location.
Okay.
Or you can apply them to the back of your neck or below your belly button. They're working systemically, which means they work throughout your entire body, no matter where you apply them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
X49 is below the belly button.
Okay.
Or you can put it on the outside of your knee. There is a stomach point there that you can also apply that as well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome. All right. So as far as Parkinson's, again, that's a disease, right? A symptom that are issues that people have. So we're going to talk about that, but we can talk about symptoms of Parkinson's and what would help. We know that that is a neurological issue, right? Condition. And so again, we would look at X39 and Eon and carnosine. And we could definitely also look at the X49 as well too, as something to help with the brain and the muscles and the bones. But this right here is our brain protocol using the X39, and the Eon and the carnosine. You might also want to look at the glutathione being the master antioxidant, immune booster, and detoxer. We know that a lot of times when you start to see neurological things, that's why carnosine loves to hang out in the brain. It's a big antioxidant. When you start to see neurological impairments, we can sometimes have a buildup of toxicity in our brain. And like, for example, the carnosine detoxes aluminum from your brain. So being able to help your body remove toxins is very important as well too. So definitely look at those patches. All patches can be used together synergistically, and they can also be used individually as well too. Remember, David has invented these patches over the last 20 years. And so there was a time, I spoke with a man earlier this year in Australia that's been using these patches for 15 years. There was a time that he used these two, glutathione and carnosine, for everything under the sun. And then they had Eon. These were the three. These three fixed everything, because that's all they had to use, and it worked to bring the body into balance when you remove toxins and you boosted the immune system and you got rid of inflammation in the body, right? And so again, it took David 10 years to figure out how to increase the stem cell production. So that is only a 3-year-old patch, so it's fairly new, but having massive success, right? As far as addictions go, again, we would look at the brain again, of course. There is a specific protocol depending on the type of addiction. We do have a protocol book, and there are some different types of addictions that people deal with, but using the SP6 and the energy enhancer, looking at that endocrine system, along with, of course, the YH, the carnosine, the glutathione, and the Eon as well, too. They're on very specific acupuncture points, though. Most all things do have protocols that we can look at, but we don't necessarily go there first. We just apply the patch to the locations that are given in the instruction booklet, because that's been proven to work, right? And then we look at, well, if there's something a little bit more severe, or maybe something else that the client is looking to do or to accomplish, we can look at specific acupuncture points and meridians. Those of us that are practitioners or doctors, right? Because we can have a little bit more understanding of the body and where things need to go and how that needs to work. And we also working very closely with our clients to make sure, follow up, checking on them as we would with any client. So, okay, so cerebral palsy and mild autism, low muscle mass. So looking at the brain, X39, X49, Eon, carnosine. Those 4 patches would be fantastic. So the body, we have a right and a left side to our body, right? Midline, governing meridian right here, right and the left side. And so the patches work with the polarity of your body a lot of times, and those also the acupuncture points that you apply them to are a lot of times on the right side of the body. There are some that are on the left, of course, but there are a lot on the right side of the body that are utilized in this technology. So for example, when I look at the carnosine, that is the right hand or the inside of the right wrist. When I look at glutathione, and again, these are just based on clinical studies with people, I can see, below the belly button, center of the chest up there, but I'm looking at the top of the right foot or the inside of the right wrist or the inside of the right ankle, calf area. And so that's where the clinical studies have been done in order. This patch specifically signals a peptide in the liver to increase your own glutathione production. These are the locations you want to put it in order for it to do that. So that's why the patch, most of them are on the right, because that's the points that are signaling in the body. So can I put a full patch on my pet? Typically what David says is use the patch yourself, take it off, and then apply it to your pet. A lot of them are older, right? We want to help them increase their stem cell production, help their body to be able to be vital and young and youthful, right? And we see that happen a lot with our pets. It's not going to hurt the pet to put the full patch on them by any means, but he's always recommended use it yourself, take it off, and then apply it to the pet. Apply it to their collar if it won't stick on their skin or their hair. So that's what I would say, because that's what David said. Somewhere that has all of this information. So that is a fantastic question. So I have file folders in my brain, and every patch has its own file folder. And I've watched David's videos, and I've listened to him in person, and I've listened to his videos over and over again. So I store this information in file folders in my brain. But if you go to LifeWave Health on YouTube, you will see that David has done a 1-hour talk on every single patch. And each patch, he talks about the clinical studies that he's done. He talks about for example, with carnosine, he talks about if you research carnosine as an antioxidant itself, not the patch, he starts telling you about all the benefits of carnosine and what they've seen with Alzheimer's and dementia and clearing out the arteries in the heart. And he can share all this data and research with you about this carnosine. But speaking just of the patch, of course, we're not going to make those claims, but it's good to infer that if you increase your own carnosine level, these are things that could potentially happen for you. And yet these are things we've seen in the brain and in the heart, in the systems of the body when our participants are using this patch in our clinical studies. So all the information comes from me just listening, and I take notes and I write things down and I listen again. And I just educate myself. The thing you have to remember here is you don't have to be a doctor or a nurse or a practitioner or a therapist of any kind. You just have to be willing to take your health in your hands, in your own hands, the responsibility for yourself, and say, I've got to learn, I've got to educate myself and be open to new things. And so that's all I've done is just listen to David and watch his videos and listen again and attend events where he's at and take notes. And I just store it all in my brain. That's just the way I work. I like to store things in file folders. So LifeWave Health on YouTube. Let's see. So again, when Betty, when you're looking at the brain, cerebral palsy is neurological. You would look at X39, Eon, carnosine, and probably being in a wheelchair, X49 as well too. So we're not going to speak specifically on lupus because that would be a disease that we're talking about, but we can definitely look at X39, Eon, reducing inflammation. We can look at the endocrine system and being able to balance the functionality of that with the SP6. I would definitely look at glutathione, carnosine, great antioxidants to help the immune system. Weight loss, Tia. So we have a fantastic tummy reduction protocol. Joanne has utilized down 2 dress sizes now. Yes. So fantastic results with our tummy reduction protocol. So it uses X39, energy enhancer, Eon, glutathione, and SP6. And so that one actually has a beautiful protocol where we apply, the energy enhancers wherever you want on the booklet, right? The X39 back of neck or below belly button. But you use the Eon, glutathione, and SP6 in a triangle on the belly in 3 different locations. And so it works wonderfully to be able to help with reduction in the tummy. And we do sometimes see weight loss. But I do want to share with you the clinical studies on the X39 and X49 show 11% body fat reduction in 60 days. So FYI, if you don't want to use all those other patches, 11% body fat reduction. If you're reducing body fat, you're obviously going to be dropping some pounds off the scale. Any side effects? I started 7 days ago and I seem to be more achy and more tired. So my question, Robin, is how much water are you consuming? So it's really important that we stay hydrated. And what that means to one person is very different than what it means to another person. So the easy way for this is to take your body weight and divide that body weight in half. So if you weigh 200, that's 100. So that's 100 ounces of water per day. Not coffee, not tea, not soda, but water. If you don't like the flavor of water, soak it in fruit like strawberries or pineapples or lemons or limes. Soak it in cucumbers or mint, something to where you will love the flavor of it. Plus, it also helps with antioxidants, right, from those fruits or different herbs that you're soaking it in. But definitely make sure you're staying hydrated. If you don't feel so great, it's probably because you're dehydrated. Obviously, if you're here in Florida, like Steve and myself and Laura, we're roasting down here at 100 degrees in September still, and humidity at 100%. And so we are going to drink more water than we normally would because we are sweating profusely, especially Steve playing pickleball for almost 4 hours a day. So we want to make sure you're staying hydrated. If you consume coffee or any type of alcohol or soda, anything like that is full of caffeine. And so you will dehydrate yourself even more, which means you're probably not going to feel good. And so making sure you stay more hydrated again. And then depending on your age, we know as we age, our cells become more dehydrated. It's just the way they are. They age. And so making sure, again, that you've got plenty of electrolytes in your body, right? If you're not using some type of electrolyte on a daily basis, it's really important that you do so you feel good. Why place the patch on the back of the neck or below the belly button? So, Michael, we have done over 90 clinical studies, and a lot of these studies have been done, of course, with the X39, and we have to have a specific location for our studies that you apply the patch, right? So this is the X39. So David picked the governing meridian based on acupuncture points, the CV7 or the one below the belly button, that triple warmer spot, to use for the studies. Because you don't want to have somebody using it on their toe and somebody using it on their finger and somebody using it on their forehead and say, well, is this really the same thing happening? You can't do that with a clinical study. We have proof that these are actually working. And so we use very specific points for our studies. But like I said, you can place the patch anywhere as far as the X39 or Eon. They're still signaling the body systemically, but stick with what's on the instruction guide. We have to have instruction guide to send to other people too, right? Yes, Amber and St. Augustine, you're still roasting up there too. Texas needs more water. Yes, we are hot in the South right now. That is for sure. So any other questions you guys have this evening? Anything else that I can answer for you? You can feel free to type it or unmute yourself.
Stacy, can you talk about the consistency of use in the patches?
Yeah, absolutely. People want to know, how long do I have to wear this? Or can I use this every other day? Or is it kind of like as need basis? And with the LifeWave, I definitely recommend you use that as needed. This one that gets rid of pain on the spot. If you don't have pain today, you don't need this patch, right? Literally, you're good. I used this patch for the first time 3 nights ago. I have never used LifeWave. I never needed it. I don't have pain. And I took the dog out in the middle of the night. She got in the middle of the night randomly. She never does. So I took her out. It was 2 a.m. And I swear to you, the bobcat was coming out of the woods at us. I'm not joking. And I heard it and I'm like, that's it. I screamed at her to get in. I'm barefoot. I walk outside barefoot and I'm on concrete, travertine sidewalk, and I'm running as fast as I can, hoping to God she's running with me and not going at the bobcat. And so it's 2 o'clock in the morning, your freak out mode. And I woke up the next morning and my ankle, for the back of my heel, I was like, what happened to me? Well, I just took off running at a dead sprint as fast as I could on concrete with bare feet. And I didn't care. It was either that or get eaten by a bobcat. So this morning I heard it growling. I'm like, Brent, find a bobcat catcher right now. Or get a scope on your gun. So, or get out the gun that has the scope and go get rid of it. But anyways, I used the LifeWave for 12 hours. It got rid of the pain literally in minutes. I was like, oh my God, this is impressive. And then, it's completely gone. It's gone. I don't know, just gone. The pain's gone. But I use the X39 every day, Eon every day too. So consistency with this, it doesn't matter. Use it when you have a pain or don't when you have a pain. The X39 is something that you would use day after day, week after week, month after month, depending on your age, right? The general rule of thumb, the starting point is 1 month for every 10 years you are old. So if you're 50, 5 months, 66 months, 77 months, to get up to that point of full cellular regeneration. Now, can you have benefits in the meantime? Of course you can. You're definitely going to experience things over the next 4, 5, 6, 7 months, right? But I know in my previous experiences in research with stem cells, I was sharing this with somebody today. Stem cells, when you inject them in your body, they tell you kind of pretend like this is a brand new conception, right? Embryo conception. And here are these new cells that are growing and forming inside of the womb, right? For 9 months. And then they come out. And then, you've got another, 9 to 12 months before that child is like full blown almost, like to where they're going to be walking and talking and things like that. What happens during that time frame? And so when I used to get Taylor stem cell injections, they would say, don't expect things to happen for 18 months. Just give it a solid 18 months. And then keep in mind too, that these stem cells are going to continue to grow and be able to help her over the coming years. And I'm like, okay, don't expect anything for 18 months. That was $25,000. And they say, we want you back in 3 months to do it again. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this again. There goes another 25 grand, right? So with this technology, obviously it's the price of a cup of coffee a day. But keep in mind that the longer you use this, because it's your body's stem cells, it's resetting your genes to a young, youthful state. That compound effect daily, because this is a 12-hour on, take it off, throw it away, do it again 12 hours later, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Daily, that compound effect of using this patch every day, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, as experienced with Bob Campbell last week, right? With his 26 months and, no more skin cancer all over his body that he used to have to get burned off. So that time's going to go on no matter what. So is your body going to be repairing, regenerating, rejuvenating, restoring itself? Are you crossing the things off the grocery list during that time? That's what happens with consistency. You start to see, like with Laura, her biomarkers, right? A year later, and she's 40 on paper, her body on the inside is functioning as a 40-year-old. She'll be 60 in November. Right? So that's what happens from consistent use. Could she have stopped at 5 months? Of course she could have. But she didn't, because the science says that this stops the aging process of our cells and tissues and organs, and it reverses the functionality of those cells and tissues and organs. And so I see this, she sees this. Our clients are seeing this. Our friends and family members are seeing this. We're all looking younger. We're feeling younger, but yet our blood work is showing that we're younger on the inside, and that's what matters, right? And so you have a choice, obviously, every single day. I call these my non-negotiables. Like exercise daily is non-negotiable, right? That's something I'm going to do every single day. Eating healthy, clean sources of food is something that I do every single day. Breath work, meditation, sauna, Zen, downtime, me time, no electronic time, right? Connection with friends and family time. Those are things that happen. Reading every single day. Things that I do every day. Using tools in my toolbox to keep myself young and youthful and vital and be here for a really long time. And so for me, this technology is a very affordable tool that I have added to my toolbox. That's a non-negotiable that I'm going to continue to use, because we have the technology with this to not only look and feel 25, but also to live past 200. And that may seem really crazy to you. It may not even seem realistic, but think about the things 50 years ago that seemed crazy and they weren't even realistic. There's no way that could possibly happen. Like, I don't know, looking at a phone screen and seeing someone and talking to them on the other side of the world. Right? I remember in middle school, they're like, one day, as the phone's connected to the cord on the wall, one day you're going to be able to look into a phone and see someone on the other side of the world. And we're like, yeah, right. Right? And that was 40 years ago. But here we are today on a screen with people all over the world. And we can do the same thing on our phone. So technology is evolving. So this technology, even though it's rooted in ancient practices, 6,000-year-old traditional Chinese medicine, it is literally light years ahead in the future in what it's doing for people right now today, improving their quality of life. It is mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So last thing is, do they expire? No, 2 years. Yes, 2 years from now. 2 years is when we're looking at expiration, but not anytime soon. Keep them out of the car, obviously. We don't leave them outside in the heat, but you can definitely have them on hand and use them as needed. They're not gonna, they only work when they come in contact with your body. So don't walk around with this entire thing in your pocket. Okay. One patch at a time. Okay. Keep that in mind. So if you have any other questions, anything else, concerns, comments, anything you need help with, get back with the person that invited you here tonight. They are more than happy to help. If they do not know the answer, they have someone that has introduced this to them, someone in their upline, director, senior director, or above, that definitely will have the answers and information or be able to point you to the correct locations. You've seen some websites posted in here tonight, the startx39now.com, and of course the reverse aging with GHK.com. So please check out that information and let us know how else we can help you. I will be uploading this recording. I'm going to turn it off right here in just a second. I will upload it to my YouTube and I'll be sharing it out on my platforms tonight still for you guys. So thank you. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon.